Global stock markets have all declined. For instance, with Tesla, a short-term profit of 40% to 50%, making it a good opportunity for quick gains. I mentioned back then about Bitcoin, right? How far will it drop? So if it were to go 1-to-1, it would likely drop to this level. Before talking about coins, let's discuss some global topics. Global stock markets have all declined. Korea's Kosdaq is also down by 5%, and the Nasdaq, S&P 500, and Dow Jones are each down by 5%. And China's Shanghai Composite Index is down by 7%, while Japan's Nikkei is down by 7%. The Euro Stoxx is down about 5%, and Bitcoin has broken its previous low as of today. It's because of tariffs. So it has started to decline. Although I really dislike conspiracy theories, I've been saying for years, whenever it's time for a drop, some issue always emerges, and then it drops. Bitcoin dropped simply because its cycle indicated it was time. If you look at the wave count, all 5 waves have already completed. The same applies to the Nasdaq. I mentioned that it seemed as if all the waves had appeared, and then it declined almost immediately afterward. So, the forecast turned out to be correct. The decline is happening now. A 0.618 retracement on the S&P 500 would still be around the 4,000 level. It just needs to drop another 20%. Then it would represent the midpoint of the overall support supply zone. And this is because it is the upper portion of the key support zone once again. If it drops to this level, I'd be grateful. Then it would be an excellent opportunity to scoop up the US stocks we've been wanting to buy. For instance, with Tesla, I'm waiting for the price to be around $200. Shouldn't we break $200 for the margin call? It would be a good entry point if it falls to around the 190-something range. $195 would be a very attractive price. If you buy at $195, there's a possibility of realizing a short-term profit of 40% to 50%, making it a good opportunity for quick gains. This is considered a rebound zone. Even if it is considered an impulse and might not be counted traditionally, since Wave 5 has been entirely completed, a rally should begin. The wave will emerge up to this level for sure. If it drops to this level, even considering the relative strength index at 280, as it falls and then rebounds, a bullish divergence will form on the 4-hour chart. And it's also where the previous rebound occurred. So, Nvidia is no different. It will likely rebound somewhere around here, in the $80 range, or if we're unlucky, in the $70 range. At last we can buy at this price. Now is the era of big bargains and great deals. You can purchase stocks like Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, or even Google and Amazon. It's currently the era of deep discounts on these popular companies. Moreover, both the Standard & Poor's 500 and Nasdaq are dropping rapidly. It's good for prices to shed quickly. With a sudden shock, all financial products are being liquidated. If you watch the news these days, you see reports of margin calls, right? As liquidations accelerated the decline, I caught it right when it started. Oh my goodness, it's incredibly tempting. I told you so, didn't I? I mentioned back then about Bitcoin, right? This is the period when I've sold 75% and hold more cash than ever. If Bitcoin drops further, I'll buy more. I currently have more cash than I've ever had in my life. I'm not telling you to follow my lead, but if Bitcoin has risen this much, you should convert at least 30% of your assets into cash and hold on to it. I mentioned this before, and now those holding cash are in a very favorable position. Now let's try counting the waves together. It's a bit tricky. How far will it drop? This marks the end of Wave 1 here, Wave 3 here, and Wave 5 here, completing one full cycle. Then we saw a 3-to-1, and now we're in the 3-to-2 phase. So, it will likely finish above the 0.5 retracement level. It seems that Bitcoin might drop a bit further, if we compare with the Nasdaq. Even if this section represents Wave 3, Wave 5 hasn't fallen as much as Wave 3 did. So, where the size of Wave 3 is right here. It needs to fall below 14,100 for the correction to be considered complete. In other words, if it drops by about 10% from here, which should be the minimum for the correction to finish, and assuming Bitcoin falls in tandem with the Nasdaq's 10% drop, then it would be a good opportunity to buy around the high 60,000s, roughly the 62,000 level. It's a bit difficult to do specific wave counting. The first drop appears to have occurred in an ABC pattern. Then Wave A emerged. Wave B came out, and now Wave C seems to be forming. So if the C wave emerges to the size of Wave A, then it would reach the 63,700 level. Essentially, it's typical to see a 1-to-1 move, so if it were to go 1-to-1, it would likely drop to this level. However, if my target is 52,000 anyway. Actually, I would prefer for it to drop rapidly. It would be nice if it rebounded quickly. It can drop sharply and then rebound quickly, but if it rises and adjusts repeatedly, it builds up significant overhead resistance, making a subsequent rise more difficult. If we count wave C more carefully, the ABC patterns have all appeared as expected, but it usually doesn't drop in this short time. I'm not sure whether it will extend and drop further. Shall we check the Fear and Greed Index for the first time in a while? It's the first time in my life that I've seen a score of 4 on the Fear and Greed Index. That means the market has fallen so dramatically that it's genuinely frightening. Then the peer score goes straight to 0. When the market then surges and everyone makes money, the mood becomes increasingly greedy, the greed score shoots up and everything is in place. Which is understandable given the circumstances. There's a story that it's the first time in 50 years that both the Nasdaq and S&P 500 have dropped more than 10% in 2 consecutive days since Black Monday. So, when extreme fear sets in, a technical rebound often follows as people panic. So wouldn't it be good for Bitcoin to rebound around here? Wouldn't a rebound near 71,000 be advantageous? When the Nasdaq too, there was a panic, it was an extreme case of fear. As it begins to recover and then adjusts again, a very neat correction is completed. The next wave will appear again. If it rebounds, how far will it go? A 0.5 rebound is likely. If it rebounds at the 71,000 mark, then there's a possibility it could surge up to around 90,000. Search for André Costolani's egg on Google. When interest rates fluctuate, fall and then rise, you should consider which assets to invest in, especially when rates are low. You should buy real estate. When interest rates begin to rise, you sell real estate. And at that time, what do you buy? You buy stocks. When interest rates rise, you sell stocks. And do stocks fall when interest rates rise? Not immediately. They tend to drop when they have collectively reached their peak. So as someone mentioned earlier, interest rates may be cut. They are being cut now. Why is Bitcoin falling? It does not reflect immediately. It takes time for interest rates to impact the real economy and stock prices. The same applies to real estate. Memorize André Costolani's egg concept by heart. It's really simple. When interest rates are at their lowest, as they begin to rise, you must know what actions to take at each stage. When interest rates peak and then begin to fall, invest in bonds now. Interest rates haven't dropped completely yet. They're still high. Once they fully drop, sell your bonds and buy real estate. When the market recovers from the low, sell your real estate and buy stocks. If interest rates rise significantly, sell your stocks and park your money in high-yield deposits. This way you earn high interest. And when interest rates drop again, withdraw the deposits and reinvest in bonds. It's very straightforward and obvious.